Hi, Gemini Sun and Rising. Welcome to your February 2024 Astro Update. It's Serena here, and I think this is going to be an amazing month for both Sun in Gemini and Rising because you have a lot of energy in fellow air sign Aquarius, and this trines you. So there's a lot of easy flowing energy, harmonious energy that is coming from the area of your opposite sign, Sagittarius, the ninth house, which is my sun sign. And this is a house that deals with expansion. So I think it's very easy when you have such a nice aspect coming from that ninth house that you can feel like you can tackle anything, that you have that the sky is the limit, things like that. um I will explain what each of these planetary transits through this house means for you individually, but the story starts in January, and I'm not filming, I'm recording this in the second week of January. So this is something that's occurring in the future, and a lot of you may be listening in January. On the 20th of January, the sun goes into Aquarius, but so does Pluto. Pluto already spent a little time in Aquarius back in late March to early May and in 2023. And now that it's back, it's going to retrograde once more into your eighth house, into Capricorn, but then for good for 20 years. So you're going to experience a lot of transformation in terms of your belief system. And when we talk about a belief system, we're talking about your life philosophy. A lot of you may say, big whoop, what does that mean? Well, it means everything. The ninth house, I don't think, is emphasized as much as some of the other houses because it doesn't necessarily deal with your day-to-day life in terms of nuts and bolts, eating, earning money, all that kind of thing. But it is important because it can determine the choices that you make. So, and there's just so much more to it because some of you will go to a foreign country and you will be profoundly changed by that experience, and it will make an indelible impression upon you. And you'll come back and say it changed your life. It reminds me of Eat, Love, Pray, when Elizabeth Gilbert went to Bali, and I, dare say that she would agree that Bali changed her life. I think she also went to Italy, and she had some great food there, but I think that Bali changed her life because she had a spiritual experience there. And Pluto is all about transformation of various forms. I mean, it could be a religious experience that you have or a spiritual experience. So anyway, let's start from the beginning. And besides the sun and Pluto being in that ninth house, on the 5th, Mercury goes there. Mercury in the ninth house can be something to do with learning a language, a foreign language. It can be making travel plans. Mercury can be your passport or paperwork, things like that. You could be communicating with the university. Now, sometimes, especially for a sign like Gemini, this could be your profession, that you are in academia, and that would be the ninth house, higher learning. So Mercury is your ruler. It's communication with a university, communication with a travel. I don't know if they have travel agencies anymore, but whatever, and airlines, whatever it takes to get you far away from where you are. If you are talking to someone, as the kids say, It might be a foreigner because Venus will be entering there mid-month. So it could be some kind of romantic interest, and maybe, I was going to say maybe your pen pals. I'm dating myself here, but, online. I'm not talking about Tinder, but maybe something where you belong to the same Facebook group or whatever, and you're dealing with someone, and you're going to arrange to meet because that person lives in another country. On the 9th, we have a new moon at 20 degrees of Aquarius. By the way, Mercury can also be studying something of a religious or spiritual nature. So the new moon here is just kind of underscoring new beginnings when it comes to belief systems or religious, spiritual things that you're learning. Maybe you're going to a new spiritual center, you've discovered one, and then that opens up a whole new world for you. On the 13th, Mars goes here. This is just really amazing. Mars, a year ago, Mars was in your sign still and had been for months. So this is significant because Mars has not been in this sector in quite a while. So that could mean that action is being taken. You may have wanderlust. I really associate Mars with physicality. So the person, I was going to say with ants in their pants, that really has to kind of cover a lot of territory because they're just really wanting to do something where they're exploring new territory. The 9th house is very curious, intellectually curious, which certainly Gemini people are, but I would say expansive. So that's where curiosity is, one thing leads to another. That's why the internet is cracked to me, because it's like, you can go down a rabbit hole. On the 16th, Venus goes into this area. Venus in the 9th house can mean romance with somebody of a different culture, ethnicity, or nationality. They're not the same things, obviously. You can have somebody who is from another country who's in your country, and it's a different nationality, but you may share the same ethnicity. And they are shaped by their nationality. Or even race. I mean, it's just something that is expanding your romantic, who you are attracted to, or who you get involved with romantically. This can bring money for the purpose of traveling. If you have been, maybe with Mercury there, you were doing your mental gymnastics, trying to figure out how you're going to get it, and now you have it. So all systems are go. By the way, that brings me to all systems are go planetary-wise, because they're all direct in February and in March. April 1st, we have another Mercury retrograde, but so we're going to have a couple of green light months. And that also affects us as a collective, because then we can expect that more things kind of come at us. I'm already noticing this, and Uranus isn't even direct in January. That it's like news is starting to kind of, things are starting to happen at a greater pace. In a weird way, because Mercury retrograded during the holiday season, it was actually a pretty good time for Mercury to retrograde, because things tend to slow down anyway, since a lot of people are taking off, not working because of family obligations, traveling, and whatnot. So on the 18th, the sun goes into Pisces. For Gemini people, this is a fellow mutable sign. This squares you, so it's in one of the angular houses, in this case, the 10th house of career. You already have a more outer planet like Saturn and a definitely outer planet like Neptune in this sector. How are those planets affecting your 10th house? Neptune may have made, Neptune went into this area, I don't know, I think about 11 years ago or 12 years ago. I think it was about 2012 when Neptune went in here. It might have been 2011, I can't remember exactly, but it's been there for over a decade. And so if you think back about 12 years ago, Gemini, did you start to feel confused about your career objectives, choices, and things of that nature? Because that's what that would have meant for you. And sometimes this can be quite, I was going to say troubling, if you have invested time and money in a particular course of studies at university. So let's say that this happened when you were in your late 20s and you had already invested so much money in school, or your parents had, and you may have felt obligated to continue to follow along that course. Well, you know, another thing about Neptune is besides being a planet of illusion, it can create disillusionment too. When it goes retrograde, it can make you see exactly where you're operating from a diluted perspective. And, you know, sometimes it just so happens that when a person gets into the real world after they have, you know, gone through college and maybe even some cases post grad, masters, etc., invested all this time and money, or your parents' time and money in that, and then find out that you can't stand what the profession actually is, you know, beyond the textbooks that you were looking at. What do? You know, some people may be tempted to stick their head in the sand. That would definitely be a Neptunian thing. But then, on the other hand, you may wonder, what do I want to become? Gemini can be the jack of all trades and master of none, because you're very versatile. You're very talented, you're very intelligent, but you may have a hard time sticking to something, and this may show up, may have shown up in the last decade, trying different things, throwing things against the wall, seeing if they stick. Now that Saturn has entered this area since March of 2023, they're going to stick more likely, because Saturn is very exacting. Saturn isn't going to allow you to get away with any BS anymore if you have been kind of drifting. And you will develop more discipline likely, and that will help you to persevere. So the sun goes into that sector on the 18th, and then 5 days later on the 23rd, your ruler Mercury goes there into the 10th house. So you could be in contact with authority figures. 10th house can be authority figures. It can be your reputation, your status, your achievements. Mercury here can mean that you are communicating in a public way for whatever reason, in some cases. And then on the next day, the 24th, there's a full moon at 5 degrees of Virgo, and that is in the opposite sign of Pisces. So that's in the home sector. That's in a more personal area. That is your own home, your own family, your own family of origin. It can be the mother. It can be some people say the father. I say the family of origin. It can be your past. And if some of these things that I'm talking about, really click in with you, Gemini, this could be letting go of the need for parental expectations in some cases. Maybe, with the ninth house, you're really starting to say, okay, whose life is it anyway? It's my life. And, the Sagittarius, the ruler of the ninth house, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius and the ruler of the ninth house, is all about freedom. And this is a fire house because Sag is a fire sign, and fire signs are about individuality. And, sometimes you don't even have to be 20-something to experience this. You could be in your 40s and still dealing with pressure from parents to be in a certain line of work, or you may have just taken that on because sometimes there are things that parents want, but there are adult children who think that they have to give it to their parents. And that's on you if you think that. That's not your parents' fault that you bought into it. So these kinds of things can, drag on for decades, these false beliefs. And what I think about February 2024 for you, Gemini, is that it is the kind of springboard for you to really embrace your own life path. Regardless of what season you are in life, whether you're just starting out in your 20s or whether you are middle-aged and having a crisis of sorts because you don't want to do what you're doing, but you still are kind of feeling like you're battling the past, use this full moon to really release those false beliefs that were probably conditioned into you by people that may not have even been malicious. They just didn't know another way to be. And declare your independence in February. Doesn't mean anything grandiose. It just means that you're, getting the ball rolling because it's really happening regardless. With Pluto in the ninth house, I mean, you're going to become obsessed with this issue about like, hey, this is my belief system. This is what I believe. This is what I think the meaning of life is for me. Geminis are very intellectual, but not necessarily philosophical. And the ninth house is philosophical. Some of you are. Some of you may even have the moon in Sagittarius. You may have, planets that support that, planets in the ninth house. But anyway, I think it will be a liberating month for you. Some of you may be selling a house. Maybe you're going to move overseas. Who knows? All right, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I'm promoting my package deals. I have one called Deep Dive, and it's an hour of natal chart analysis, an hour of transits for 2024 for a special price. And that special price is $85.85 US dollars for at least 2 hours of readings. And I do have those readings as standalone readings. I also have like career readings, love readings, and things like that. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at ReinaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for listening. Bye.